#Heathen here, along with Snarky. Um, we are starting a series where we'll be going over a book called Will I Ever Be Good Enough? And it's Healing the Daughters of Narcissistic Mothers by Karyl McBride, who has a PhD. And Snarky and I have kind of been through the whole being raised by a narcissistic mother.
Oh yeah.
So, do you want to intro your channel and chill yourself?
Yeah, I'm Mrs. Snarky. I have a channel where I talk about politics, philosophy, psychological, sociological stuff, and basically whatever the hell I want to. Subscribe! Yay! Buy my art. Anyway.
Yes, definitely subscribe. Check out her Redbubble store. Link should be in the description. So yeah, we'll jump into the introduction here, and we'll go from there.
Yay!
You want to read the first paragraph?
Sure. Introduction. Our relationship with Mother is birthed simultaneously with our entry into the world. We take our first breath of life and display the initial dependent, human longing for protection and love in her presence. We are as one in the womb and on the birthing table. This woman, our mother, all that she is and is not, has given us life. Our connection with her in this instant, and from this point forward, carries with it tremendous psychological weight for our lifelong well-being. Oddly, I have never wanted to believe this.
First, being a feminist-era mom myself, I didn't want mothers and women to bear so much responsibility or ultimate blame if things go wrong. Certainly, many factors other than mothering shape a child's life. Second, I didn't want to face how feeling like an unmothered child had such a devastating effect on me and my life. To acknowledge this meant I had to face it.
While doing research over the years, I've read many books that discuss the mother-daughter bond. Each time I read a different volume, unexpected tears would stream down my cheeks. So this is an experience I've definitely had too. For I could not recall attachment, closeness, memories of the scent of Mother's perfume, the feel of her skin, the sound of her voice singing in the kitchen, the solace of her rocking, holding, and comforting, the intellectual stimulation and joy of being read to.
Yeah, these are tough memories to kind of go through for me, I know. And every now and then I'll get like a smell that reminds me of childhood, and it's like a bittersweet kind of thing, because there's nostalgia for being young and a child, but there's also the pain that we had to go through.
Yeah. When it comes to the closeness thing, like I can really relate to that negative attachment, I guess you might say, because like I remember the way my grandmother smelled, but I don't remember my mom. The only thing I remember in terms of smells, and when it comes to my mother, is the smell of bleach, and that associates with trauma.
Okay. That's
induced by her. So,
yeah.
Not good stuff.
No. I knew this was not natural, but could not find a book that explained this lack. It made me feel somewhat crazy. Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Was I delusional or just a chick with a poor memory? I could not find a book that explained the phenomenon of feeling unmothered could be a real deal, and that there could be mothers who are not maternal. Nor could I find a book that discussed the conflicted feelings that their daughters have about these mothers, the frustrated love, and even sometimes the hatred. Because good girls aren't supposed to hate their mothers. They don't talk about these bad feelings. Motherhood is a sacred institution in most cultures, and therefore is generally not discussed in a negative light. When I decided to write a book on mothers who don't mother their daughters, the pain this causes girls and adult daughters, I felt as if I were breaking a taboo.
It is breaking a taboo because, this idea of respect your parents, respect your mother especially.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what, is something that's deeply ingrained within our social structure.
Well, and look at Mother's Day and how that's treated in this country. It's huge.
Oh, yeah. Reading books about the mother-daughter bond always gave me the sensation of deep loss and the fear that I was alone in this suffering. Experts wrote of the complexity of the mother-daughter connection, how it is rife with conflict and ambivalence, but I felt something different, a void, a lack of empathy and interest, and a lack of feeling loved. For many years, I did not understand and tried to rationalize it. Other members of the family and well-intentioned therapists explained it away with various excuses. Like a good girl, oh, I
Yep.
tried to make excuses and take all of the blame. It was not until I began to understand that the emotional void was a characteristic result of maternal narcissism that the pieces began to fit together. The more I learned about maternal narcissism, the more my experience, my sadness, and my lack of memory made sense. This understanding was the key to my beginning to recover my own sense of identity, apart from my mother. I became more centered, taking up what I now call substantial space, no longer invisible even to myself, and not having to make up myself as I go along. Without understanding, we flail around, we make mistakes, feel deep unworthiness, and sabotage ourselves and our lives. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the explaining away. I went to a psychiatrist at one point. Started with depression, anxiety, kind of in high school, but wasn't diagnosed. And thought, well, this is supposed to be between us, and I can be honest and let her know how I feel about the way mom treats us. So I opened up about that and basically was told all teenagers hate their parents and just because you don't like following rules, basically.
Oh, my God. So it was brushed aside as a rebellious stage.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, which basically reinforced that whole don't tell anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And strangers or like family friends would be the same. They would just explain it away. Oh, it's not that inappropriate. It's not that abusive. So I learned pretty early on to not tell people, and
Yeah.
especially those that where it would get back to mom.
I can totally relate to that because the only thing I ever told my therapist that was quote unquote negative about my mom was that she stayed with my dad. That's how deeply ingrained it was within me because I heard over and over again, don't talk about me, don't talk about me,
Yep.
don't talk about me.
Yep.
And I didn't. To this day, I haven't.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. Writing this book has been an accumulation of years of research and a soul journey that took me back to when I was a little girl who knew something was wrong, feeling that the absence of nurturing was not normal, but not knowing why. I am writing this book now in the hopes that I can help other women understand that those feelings were and are not their fault.
That's really a big hurdle to get over.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your fault.
Yeah, I still have issues dealing with that, especially because I knew mom was not well when I stopped talking to her. And I felt like it was, before I stopped talking to her, that it was my responsibility to take care of her.
Yeah.
She had always explained, well, your parents raise you, and then when they get old and they need help, you take over in exchange. Right. Like, that's your payment.
Yeah. I took care of my mom since 86 because she was disabled, right? She fell on the job and she herniated her disc in her back. So, like, that whole thing never really registered to me, and I would snap back. What are you talking about? I've been taking care of you since I was a little kid.
Right. Yeah, it definitely feels like that. Which, that's another way that our pasts are a little bit more similar, because mom had osteoporosis and had fractures in her back. So
oh, wow.
It was also her back that led to her eventually becoming disabled.
Oh, wow. Totally twinsies.
Right.
Oh, my God. That is uncanny, though.
I know.
Oh, my God. Okay. So, this does not mean that I want you to blame your mother. This is not a journey of projected anger, resentment, or rage, but one of understanding. We want to heal ourselves, and we want to do that with love and forgiveness for ourselves and our mothers. I do not believe in creating victims. We are accountable for our own lives and feelings. To be healthy, We first have to understand what we experienced as daughters of narcissistic mothers, and then how we can move forward in recovery to make things the way they need to be for us. Without understanding our mothers and what their narcissism did to us, it is impossible to recover. We have been taught to repress and deny, but we have to face the truth of our experiences, that our longing for maternal warmth and mothering is not going to be fulfilled, and our wishing and hoping that things will be different are not going to change things. As girls, we were programmed to look at the dynamics of our family in a positive light. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Even though we knew we lived under a shadow, our families usually did look good to the outsiders. But though we sensed something was wrong, we were told that really it's nothing. This kind of emotional environment and dishonesty can be crazy making. Smile, be pretty, and act like everything's good. Sound familiar? Oh, hell yes.
Yes.
All of my friends were like, oh my god, you got such a cool mom.
Yeah.
You're so lucky. And all this.
I wish
I'm
she
like,
was my mom.
y'all don't know her at all.
Right.
She's fake.
Yep.
Like, she would be yelling at me and putting me down and calling me the worst human being in all existence, and how I was just like my abusive, awful father. And then the phone would ring and she'd be like, hello.
Yep. Oh,
So fake.
I cannot tell you how many times that happened. And like, we'd be sitting there bawling our eyes out because we're getting our asses reamed. And that switch in emotion and demeanor, like everything. And I'm just sitting there going, what?
Yeah.
You were just being a royal bitch, and now you're mischeerful. Okay.
Like, teach me that trick.
Right. Yeah.
Jeez.
I am still amazed whenever I talk to other daughters of narcissistic mothers at the similarities of our internal emotional landscapes. We may have different lifestyles and outward appearances for the world to see, but inside, we wave the same emotional banners. My greatest hope is that this book will offer you acknowledgement and validation for your profound emotions and allow you to feel whole, healthy, and authentic in who you are today.
That's good. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
I've always felt like I walked around with like this black hole inside of me that just sucked the life out of me.
Yeah.
Healing from that it's been a tough road.
Yes.
I'm not quite, I don't know if you ever really get healed.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, you find a way to cope,
maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it, because it's never going to go away. You know, we were shaped by this environment, and there are certain things that you learn, coping mechanisms, that you can't remove because they're so ingrained.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, you know, putting it that we find ways to cope is a lot better than saying healed or cured.
Oh, one step at a time.
Right?
In writing this book, I had to fight many internal battles. First, I had to trust my ability to do it. Hello. As I am a therapist, not a writer. Second, and of more interest, I had to talk to my mother about it. When I brought it up with Mother, I said to her, hey, Mom, I need your help. I'm writing a book about mothers and daughters, and I need your input, suggestions, and permission to use some personal material. My mother, bless her heart, said, why don't you write a book about fathers? It's like such a thing my mom would say.
Yes.
And of course, she was worried about being a bad mother, which would be expected. She was able to give me her blessing, however, and I think it's because she was trying to understand that this is not a book about blame, but a book about healing. I have to admit, I wanted her to say many things like, are there some things we need to discuss or work on together? Do you have pain from your childhood? Is there anything that we can do about it now? Can we heal together? None of that happened. But after all these years of my own recovery work, I knew not to expect her to be able to do this empathic inquiry. I was grateful that I had mustered the nerve to broach the book to her, which admittedly took me some time to do, I imagine. At one time in my life, this exchange would have been unthinkable.
It still is for me. I could not go to my mother and imagine saying, I'm writing about the abuse we lived through in childhood, because she would just say it's not abuse. Like, where are the bruises? Where were the cuts? Where were the broken bones? Because that was abuse to her.
That sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
I really wish we would get rid of the whole cliche, sticks and stones will break my bones. Yep. Because words do hurt, and they can hurt forever. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Forever. The damage they cause is way worse than any broken bone or bruise or cut I ever got. So, and even though that hurts, because, I mean, of course it does, the fact that your parents would do that to you is what hurts the most. And whenever your parent is telling you you're worthless, or can't you ever do anything right, or you're just like your abusive dad,
yep,
it hurts worse than anything.
Oh, oops. I was trying to move the window and I accidentally resized it for everyone. Okay, it's still on screen, I think.
Yay, tech issues again.
Oh my gosh, this was such a headache. Oh, I hate dealing with windows.
Mm-hmm.
I just hate dealing with windows. Oh, it resized it and then it moved where I was. Cool. Oops.
We're at somehow after taking this risk.
Somehow after taking this risk, I found it easier to move forward and be authentic in talking about my own experience as well as about my research. Although it would have felt emotionally safe to write at arm's length from a purely clinical perspective, I hope that my own stories of being a daughter of a narcissistic mother will help you know that I do understand. I have been there. And that was really important to me reading this book. It's hard for somebody to understand, really, unless if they've been through that, because you can read every textbook on earth and it won't give you the personal insight.
Oh yeah, that experience and connecting with somebody who has had a similar experience is a good way of coping.
Right.
I mean, I have been to, people's houses, sleepovers, and, visiting and stuff like that. And the dynamic that they have with their mother is totally foreign to me.
Yeah.
I found myself having to go to the bathroom and start crying because I felt like an alien. I felt like nobody could relate to me.
Yep. Yeah, so, I actually had a friend cut off contact with me because she said I was just so negative about my mother. Like, wow. I would vent, as you do with your friends, and that outward appearance that mom had, they think that that's her.
Oh,
so
wow. Hook, line, and sinker, right?
Yep. And she was basically just like, I can't stand it. You're way too negative. She doesn't mistreat you, and I don't want to be your friend anymore.
Oh my god, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I've divided the book into 3 parts that parallel my approach to psychotherapy. Part 1 explains the problem of maternal narcissism. Part 2 shows the impact of the problem, its many effects, and how it plays out in daughters' lifestyles. Part 3 is a roadmap for recovery.
And just a heads up, I have not done part 3 of the map yet because it's been so heavy to read parts 1 and 2. And it says in here to wait until an appropriate time. Mm-hmm. I'm not there yet. Yeah. And I'm trying to tell myself it's okay, but as usual, I'm battling that inner voice.
Yeah.
I invite you now to come with me to learn about yourself and your mother. It won't always be a comfortable and easy trip. Tell me about it.
Right.
You'll be emerging from denial, confronting difficult feelings, being vulnerable, and facing characteristics of your own that you may not like. It is an emotional undertaking. Sometimes you will find it funny. Other times you will feel a great sadness as you try to understand what you experienced and heal from it. By doing so, you will change the legacy of distorted maternal love and make a lasting difference for your daughters, sons, and grandchildren. As you face the honest reflections of your life patterns, you will ultimately like yourself more and become better at parenting and relationships and everything else in your life.
Yeah, it touches everything. Like, I don't think there's a single aspect of my life that isn't affected by either the ways that I cope or what I've been through. Greg and I have been together for 12 years now, and he's never raised a hand at me. He's never degraded me as a person. Sure, we have arguments at points, but like we work it out in a sane manner, which was not a thing in our house. So like the moment I sense he's tense, and I know it has nothing to do with me, but I still, like, my entire system gears up to the first I freeze and then flight. Like, what can I do to get out of this situation?
Right. I kind of have the same thing. Whenever Maddie gets upset about something, I, of course, sense it. I pick it up. And Maddie's the kind that they have autism. So when they shut down, they shut down. And they don't want to. They don't want to at all. And what I immediately try to do as a caretaker is try to fix it, take care of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's kind of the way I've been with all my friends and all my relationships is I'm the one that carries the burden. I'm the one that you vent to. I'm the one that, you know, tries to fix it. Most of the time I will overlook a lot of toxicity from people that take advantage of this aspect of myself. Yeah, I've been hurt a lot because of the programming I received from my mother.
Yep. Yeah, I actually had a friend, we're no longer friends for my own sanity, but that definitely took advantage of that. Like, she wanted help with all of her schoolwork. She was in her 50s and going back to school for veterinary technology and wasn't a good student. She consistently had C's or D's or failing, and she wanted help with her homework, so I would help her. Even on, like, days where I had to go in and get a nerve block, which they do under sedation, and then you're supposed to rest for the rest of the day. We would go back to my place after she drove me home, and I would help her do her homework. And
oh my God.
There were times where I'm like, I just want to sleep. And she's like, well, I drove you home, so...
What?
Yeah, and the thing that ended everything was she had to do a video for her class, and she didn't have iMovie on her tablet. So she's like, well, can I use yours? And I said, yeah, you know. She said, I just need help recording it. So I went over there, and first off, she wasn't even, like, working on that right away. And then she goes, oh, I suppose I should write the script. She had done nothing. There was no script written, not even started, not outlined. So I had to help her with that. So I'm like, okay, well, it'll take a little bit longer. Then we filmed it, and she goes, good, so you know how to work iMovie, right? So you can edit that for me?
Oh my God!
I was like, no, I've never used iMovie. I never needed it for anything. Oh. I ended up spending 12 hours there until 1 o'clock in the morning, and she couldn't figure out how to upload it because her Dropbox was full. She tried like 3 or 4 times, and it wouldn't upload, and she goes, well, you know, you just have to be there. You have to come to school with me then for 8 o'clock when the class starts. And I said, I'm fucking done.
Yeah.
Like, I've been here for 12 hours. I'm in extreme pain. I haven't been able to eat. So, like, I'm done. And she goes, well, you just want me to fail. And I'm like, no. Like, number one, you're already failing. You already have a C. So, this isn't going to magically give you an A. And number two, I can't physically do this.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So, you know, and I was still even trying to excuse it when I got home, and Greg's like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't have to do this for her. And I'm like, well, but she needs help with... He's like, no, this is bullshit.
Yeah. Greg's right. Go, Greg. That is bullshit. You were being used and you were being abused. Mm-hmm. That's just all there is to it. It's ridiculous. But
you excuse it. Like, that's normal for us. So
yeah, it's a pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like, you know, when friends of mine, ex-friends, would start drama. And I would finally say, look, I'm not down for this drama. Done. Like a heart attack.
Yeah.
Just flatlined that friendship.
Yeah.
But
Emotional legacies are like genetic legacies. They pass along to each generation without anyone really taking a lot of notice. Some of the hand-me-downs are endearing and wonderful, and we feel grateful and proud. But some are heartbreaking and destructive. They need to be stopped. We need to stop them. Having done my own recovery work for my distorted maternal legacy, I can say that I've been there, and I can help you change yours too.
I welcome you to read further with me. Sit with me, talk with me, cry with me, laugh with me. Together we will begin to deal with the reality of your emotional legacy. Even if it's always been, quote, all about your mom, it's your turn now. It gets to be about you. The you that maybe you've never discovered or didn't even know existed. That last paragraph, though, wow.
Yeah, I have it. I have that one highlighted.
Yeah.
Because it never could be about us, no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, we could be sick, and she'd be like, well, take care of me.
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, oh my God. There's just so many memories that come flooding in. I don't even know which one to pick when it comes to that. But, I mean, you get home from work and mom's like, hey, make me this, 3-course meal and then clean up everything. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
No. But I mean, if you say no, then it's going to escalate to the point to where somebody's having an anxiety attack.
Yep.
So it's just easier just to do the thing to get her to shut up.
Oh, yeah. And that goes back to that same programming. Like, when conflict arises, we as children who've been through this, all of our coping mechanisms kick in. And I'm like you, I try to fix whatever's going on. And sometimes I have no control over it. And I still am going, how can I fix this? How can I make it better?
Yeah, sometimes you just can't. That's one of the things that I think is most important to learn just generally. If you're, no matter who you are, what your life experience is, it is always wise to be able to distinguish between things that are in your control and things that are not.
Right.
Stoicism. Woo! Sorry. Gotta plug my philosophy, right?
Right.
But it's true. It's one of the most helpful coping skills that I think any adult or even teenager can learn. So.
Yeah, I'll probably be looking into that. I can only handle so much philosophy at a time, otherwise I just shut down.
Oh yeah.
But like hearing like you and Maddie and Evans talk about it, that's a little bit easier for me to understand.
Right.
Like, looking back at what they actually wrote in that time period, there's no way. I can't do that.
There's a lot of academics showing off in philosophy that I think is not necessary. I mean, maybe it is if you're working for, being recognized in the philosophical community or something. But when it comes to, I'm more interested in how do I deal with life? What can I glean from this? What kind of wisdom is actually here? And I think that should be available to anyone.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely. All right.
Narcissists suck.
Yeah. In all their forms, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was the introduction. Next time we'll delve into Chapter 1 in the first part. Part 1, recognizing the problem. And then Chapter 1 is the emotional burden you carry. So we'll be looking into that. Yeah, so this is part 1 of the series, and why don't you show your channel again?
I'm Missus Snarky, and I do politics, philosophy, psychology, sociology, and art. Woohoo! And next episode, I will definitely have tissues.
Yeah, for a lot of this book, but it was also really powerful, which is why I wanted to do this series. It's
hard-hitting, but that's kind of the point, right? Is honesty can sometimes be hard-hitting, and you have to be brave enough to face it. And I know Casey is definitely brave. I don't know about me,
No,
but
you are.
I'm working on it. I still haven't gotten through the whole book yet. So
No,
I can't say it yet.
Yeah, me neither. There's a lot, especially in the road to recovery part.
Yeah.
That one is, you have to really delve deep, and that's not always possible. I can't
Yeah.
always handle that.
Yeah, maybe we can save ripping off that band-aid for later.
Yeah.
Which, thankfully, it's the end of the book, right?
Right,
So
yeah.
it'll be a long road to get there, but
It'll be a
it'll be
while.
a good journey. We won't be alone on this journey.
No.
And that helps.
Yes, definitely. Well, that'll do it. I'm hashtag Heathen. If you're here, you're probably already subscribed. So, otherwise, Twitter link is in the description. I'll also have Missus Snarky's channel linked there, her Redbubble, and her Twitter. So, definitely do all the things and follow Missus Snarky. And thank you for doing this with me.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. This is an amazing idea. It's helpful to, I'm sure, more than just us.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, we'll see y'all next time. Just remember, life is shit. So let's get through it together and keep hanging in there with hashtag. Bye.